Good evening and welcome back to Midnight Movie Club and my review of Psycho Goreman. Psycho Goreman was written and directed by Steven Kostanski, the same man behind The Void, and it stars Nita Josie Hanna, Owen Maya and Matthew Ninnaber. The film follows two kids as they awaken an ancient evil that has been buried on Earth for centuries. This is an unnamed, unknowable, unimaginable evil that must stay locked away at all costs, because if he is awoken, he will destroy the entire universe. Little do they know, they wake him up, they find his gem, and now they can control him. Once the kids do resurrect this ancient evil, they start to have their fun with him, but things take a little trip down the weirdness lane, and I absolutely loved it. All these sort of intergalactic assassins start converging on this small town, and it just makes for some awesome, brutal, bloody 80s kind of vintage mayhem, and it is just so bloody fun. That is what I want to say right off the bat for this review. I loved this film. It was so fun. It had me laughing the whole way through. It had my jaw dropping at some points. There's certain points in this film where you think it can't get any more ridiculous than it does. And you think, oh, it can't get any more bloody or gory. And then it does. It's just brilliant. I posted this over on Twitter right after watching it, saying something like Psycho Goreman is like an R-rated Power Rangers movie, and it really is. Like, you could carry this on and make a total huge franchise out of it with all these different stories. You could have comic books, maybe even a TV series. It is just amazing, and the action, the way it is shot and the way it is edited together is almost like a Power Rangers episode. And as someone who grew up watching so much Power Rangers, it just had me nerding out, and it made me feel like a kid again. In saying that, it's obviously a lot more brutal and bloody, and the action when it does come is sort of in a very comedic tone. It isn't done very seriously, but there is certain elements to it where it does feel very epic, and you do get a little bit fired up, and you're like, oh fuck yeah, I'm really up for this fight. And I just really enjoyed that. Honestly, I couldn't wipe the smile off my face for most of this movie's runtime. Nowhere in the movie does it feel like it gets bogged down at all. It just chugs along at a nice consistent pace, and every 5 or 10 minutes something super interesting, super cool or super funny happens. The performances across the board were brilliant. The two main kids in this film I thought were fantastic. Mimi, the sort of main protagonist of the film, the young lassie, I really do feel like her character could have easily got super, super irritating and annoying, and you could have ended up hating her. But the performance put in from the young actor was absolutely brilliant. Her comedic timing was on point, and I have to say that for everyone in this film. Everyone's comedic timing was just perfect. I really liked the relationships between the main family. We actually did kind of give a shit about them, as they just seemed like your everyday sort of family that always fight with one another, but just in a really funny way. And every sort of line that they said to one another always had a meaning behind it. And it just seemed like they knew each other for a long time. Like the dad would be saying something, the mum would be like scoffing while he's not looking at her. Just little things like that just seemed that it made it feel very authentic, and you bought them as a family. You're like, yeah, these people have lived together for ages. And yeah, that really was a nice little driving force behind the narrative of the film, as it is pretty thin, it's pretty straightforward, and it spells it all out for us. We get these really cool this really cool opening shot with an opening crawl that is narrated with this sort of badass deep voice that tells us about this ancient evil that was locked away years and years ago, and it's just all very badass and over the top, but not to the point where it's so cheesy it's shit. It plays it so well, and it just captures that essence of like 80s and 90s sort of vibes. It's got the dark sort of synthwave soundtrack to it, and it just matches everything so perfectly. Now, I probably won't get too analytical or crazy in this review like last night's review with Willy's Wonderland, as once again, this is just a film that you can turn your brain off and have fun with. It's nothing that you've got to kind of look into for a deeper meaning or anything like that. But at the core of this film, it's really all about love, and how love can rule over hate and all that kind of shit. But at the end of the day of the film, nothing really changes from the start of the film to the end. No character really changes. No character arcs are really fulfilled. Everyone stays the same. And that's kind of what the movie was getting at. No matter what happened in this movie, everything was going to kind of be the same. Everything was either going to go to shit or just be normal. And yeah, it kind of tells you that from the start, and it just kind of winks to the camera throughout the film at you. It knows where it's going. It knows that you know where it's going, but it just gives you an awesome ride getting there. One character, I believe, at one point actually says, "What we've learned a lot today," and the other character's like, "Really? Did we?" And it's like, no, we didn't. Like, none of them have changed. All of them are the same, even though they've been through this crazy mad fucking outer interstellar war, even though they've been part of this sort of fucked up ancient blood feud between all these alien races. Nothing's really changed for them. They just kind of go back to their lives and stuff like that. And I really like that it didn't try to find some sort of profound meaning. It was what it was, and it was bloody glorious. Honestly, if you're a fan of gore, 80s sci-fi, proper good old practical effects, alien costume design, like, they do look like Power Rangers villains, like all the alien creatures in this film, but every single one of them has their own personality, their own quirk, their own voice, the way they talk. Every little minute detail was taken care of. There's one character who's like, when he's breathing, it's an awkward situation, and he kind of just wants to retreat back into himself, and he's like a brain sort of skull that's been held together by this mechanical suit, and he's got these tubes going up his nose looking like he's on life support, and his face like sinks in, and he kind of eats his own face because he doesn't want to be part of the conversation because he feels uncomfortable, and just shit like that. Like, the attention to detail on these costumes, like, I don't know how much they paid for these costumes, but they looked outstanding. Honestly, most of the budget must have went towards the costumes, and it mustn't have left too much left over to play with the technical side of things. But in the end, the directing, the cinematography, the sound design, everything was all great. Like, there was, at no point did I go, well, that looks shit, that sounds shit. It just looked great. And I was just sitting there at some points pinching myself like, how the hell did they make this for the budget they had? Like, honestly, this was some achievement. Now, I will admit at some points it was maybe a little bit kiddie, and I thought, nah, we could go more badass here, but then that kind of kid element, that sort of Stranger Things element came in, but it's obviously not as serious as that. And I thought, that was gonna go one way, but then it just went the other. And it's all right. You can kind of forgive it, but at the same time, I thought with it being so gory and stuff, they could have just pushed it that little bit further. That sounds crazy for a movie like this, pushing it even further. But I just thought, in a couple of places, they kind of went a little bit kiddie, and when kids can't watch this film, what's the point in that? Do you know what I mean? Like, just keep going fucking nuts with it, and just sending it into overdrive. But for the most part, I have absolutely nothing negative to say about this film. I enjoyed it, start to finish, every minute. There was just so many cool things and so many aspects, so many cool shots. Honestly, just go watch it, because I don't want to spoil it or anything like that. Don't even bother watching the trailer. You can take my word for it. Go watch it. You will enjoy Psycho Goreman. Honestly, I want t-shirts, I want action figures, I want statues, I want posters, I want a sequel, I want a prequel, I want a TV series, I want anime. Honestly, give me more Psycho Goreman and I'll be happy. This was just absolute brutal mayhem, anarchy, fun. That's kind of the only words that I can kind of bring up to describe it as of right now. It was a sheer thrill ride that took me back to being a kid again. And obviously now that I'm a little bit older, all that kind of horror, gore and comedy, it has a very dry sense of humour. It really resonated with me, and it's something that I just really liked. And as I said before, everyone's comedic timing is on point. It's not to the point where the comedy takes away from any of the action or anything like that. It is a comedy first and foremost, then sort of like a horror action after that, family adventure. But honestly, just watch it for the costume design alone. Like, just have a gaze. The set design too, some of the sets and some of the landscapes, some of the fucking some of the shots we get of the alien planets and these spaceships and these sort of intergalactic creatures that we get short little glimpses of, is just insane. Like, I want to know how they done it on that budget, honestly. This movie was fantastic. I mean, I maybe had like one or two little things where I thought could have been better here or there, but honestly, it's just little nitpicky things. I really enjoyed Psycho Goreman, and I think all of you, my audience on here, will enjoy it too. So I implore you, please go watch it. Go find it wherever you can. It should be on streaming, VOD. Pretty sure it's on Shudder. That's where I watched it. And you should be able to find it on like iTunes, Google Play, something like that. Amazon probably as well. Honestly, go out. I can't recommend this one enough. It's the best film I've seen all year. And probably the best film I've actually seen in a while. It's the most fun I've had with a movie in such a long time. And I had great fun with Willy's Wonderland last night, and I thought it's going to take a while for that to get topped. And then I finally got round to seeing Psycho Goreman, and I was like, holy shit, what a ride. But anyway, with all that said and done, it's time for my rating of Psycho Goreman, and I am going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 rating. Almost perfect for me. Honestly, go watch this one. You won't regret it. Let me know in the comments if you've seen Psycho Goreman and what you made of it. Also, if you enjoyed this review, please do leave it a like. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to join the club. As always, thank you very much for watching, and good night.